Hello, and welcome to episode 34 of the Sarah Seams podcast. My name's Sarah. I'm coming to you from Columbus, Ohio, where I live with my partner Troy and our cats Alex, Moo, and Elsie. If you hear any, they're already making noise, so if you hear them, please know that's just the cats running around in the hallway. It has been almost a month since my last regular episode. In the meantime, I took a trip to North Carolina to visit my friend Jess, who's also a knitter, and we released a special episode together. So if you're interested in seeing that, I'll link a card to it up here. But I have so much to share with you today because, like I said, it's been a month since I had a chance to sit down and share all my projects. I have so many new cast-ons. So we'll get right into it. Before we do, just let you know, in the description box below the video, I will have my Instagram, Ravelry, social media linked, and I'm not doing super detailed video notes anymore, but please, if you have a question about any of the patterns, yarns, designers that I mentioned, please feel free to leave me a comment and I will get back to you. And I will mute my computer so we don't get any more dings. All right, I feel a bit rusty. It's, like I said, it's been a minute, so I think that's all I have to start out with. Oh, I'll start with what I'm wearing, which is also my first finished object. I will put a video in here of me wearing it. This is a sewing FO. I just finished this the other day. This is a new pattern by Sid Graham Designs. It is the Skyline Dress. It just came out last week, and I can tell it's gonna be one that I make a few of. My Sojo kind of lost me for July. I think I sewed one thing in July and I had all these projects cut out, and then I just kind of totally lost my sewing energy, but I feel like it's back. So I sewed this up yesterday. Super fun, quick project. It is this 3-tiered gathered dress. I did a hack for mine, so I moved the tie to the front. On the original version, the tie is on one of the back straps, but I moved it to the center front. And then it's the front panel is gathered, so you can kind of adjust how you want this to sit. And then it has a little spaghetti strap. The fabric is something I've had in stash for a while. It's this fun tiger print. Purchased it at So to Speak, which is one of my local fabric stores. And yeah, I really like this. The next version I think I'm gonna make is a scrappy one. So I kind of went through my stash and pulled out a bunch of blue and gray and neutral and pink kind of fabrics, and I think I'm gonna do a fun scrappy version. I made the size 18 with no modifications. I think next time I might shorten the hem an inch or so, but that's really it. It's a pretty forgiving fit. It has flexibility with the strap length, which is nice. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. Also, this designer, Sid Graham, just launched a Learn How to Sew YouTube series. So, a lot of times I get comments here or on Instagram about how did you learn to sew? Where can I learn to sew? And it seems like that could be a great resource. So I will try to link that in the description box below as well. I watched one of their tutorials for this hack and it was really well done. So yeah, if you're interested in learning how to sew from absolute basics, I would definitely check out this new series that they're doing. The cats are yelling. I also made this cardigan that I'm wearing with this. This is the Blackwood cardigan by Helen's Closet in some navy rib knit. Sorry about the meowing. Okay, so yes, that is what I'm wearing. That is also my first finished object. Next, I have 3 pairs of socks to show you. So I have been doing a lot of sock knitting. We've had some time in the car. We drove to North Carolina. So yes, I have 3 pairs of finished socks. The first one are the Breton striped socks from Summer Lee's book, The Sock Project. Here they are. So I knit these for my partner, Troy. We're kind of experimenting to see how many stitches he likes in his sock. His feet are narrower than mine. So this is a 54 stitch sock. They seem very small to me. He's excited about them. He, I think, prefers a much tighter fitting sock, but we'll see. He's very excited to have these, but he hasn't been allowed to have them until after I showed them on the podcast. So yes, the main color, the blue tweed, is a chick that knits. The color is Blue Moon. It's their Donegal sock base. And then the contrast color was just like a little icy blue scrap I had in stash, and I love these. These were so fun to knit. I think they turned out so cute. I love the tweed. I'm really having like a tweedy sock yarn moment. I just love how it knits up. So I think I did 9 rows of the main color and then 3 rows of the stripe. They're top down, heel flap and gusset. Pretty basic, but yeah, I really think that they turned out super cute, and I need to knit more stripy socks because they're super fun. And now we will let Troy have these and he'll be pleased. So this is the size small from Summer's book. Next up are another pair of socks from Summer's book. These ones were for me. So this was basic sock recipe number 4 from her book, which was the German short row heel. And here they are. These are bright and crazy and they look so long. I don't know. So the main color was a leftover I had of Kelborn Woolen's Perennial, which has a bit of alpaca in it. And I don't know if this will come across, but it has a bit of a halo, which is kind of nice. I used a little darker purple contrast for the cuff. It's 1x1 rib, German short row heel. And then I've got this really crazy pop of green, like a lime green on the toe. So yeah, these are wild. They're kind of fun. I'm trying to let Summer Lee's book and style inspire me to use like crazier color combos. So this is certainly one of them. These fit me well. They just look so long. I guess I just have big feet and I need to accept that. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, okay, sorry. Last pair of socks are maybe my favorite of the 3, but they're kind of crazy. So the next pattern from Summer Lee's book were the faded socks. So I didn't really have yarns in stash that I thought were gonna fade nicely. So I purchased some minis from Hue Logo. Let me lay out all the tags here before I show you. Okay, so here they are. Whoa, aren't they fun and crazy? And they look so different. Like the way the yarn pooled really impacted how they look. These were my North Carolina project. This one looks, yeah, they look so fun. I love these. I want to knit like all the weird faded socks now. So these are also for Troy. This is a 60 stitch sock. So I kind of made up my own formula for these guys, but they're just a 60 stitch vanilla sock. So we'll see which fit he likes best, 54, 60, or 64. And then we'll know if we're going forward. So yeah, let me tell you the colors I used. All the minis are from Hue Logo. The first color, which I started the 2x2 cuff and then knit to about here, which is this really pretty kind of mint chocolatey chip color, that was pistachio. Then I faded in the color that I used for the heel, which is similar, but it's like a little more teal. That one was called Candied. And then I faded in, and you can see it better on this side, this kind of more pinky color, but it had speckles of a lot of those other colors. That one was called Daydream. And then lastly, we had this much more saturated kind of reddish brown that did the weird pooling, which is interesting. And that one was called Yes, I Canyon. So yeah, I think the colors turned out really fun together. I do think some of the pooling effect of the last color, it disrupts the fade in a way that I don't love, but I think overall the effect is pretty cool. Like this one, I think this side looks pretty good, but like there's like a really big block of red on this side. So I don't know, I think they're really fun. I would definitely recommend trying this fade. So Summer recommends doing kind of like a random fade, because if you do like 2 of the old color, 2 of the new color, 2 of the old color, 2 of the new color, your eye like latches onto that pattern. So she kind of recommends just doing like, do 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 1 and just like whatever. But I need a little more structure than that. So I feel like you can kind of see here what my fade was. So I finished this color, did 1 row of the new color, 3 rows of the old color, and then 2 and 2, and then 3 of the new color and 1 of the old color. So it's pretty obvious right there, but I feel like throughout it looks pretty good. So that's kind of how I approached it, but you could go as like random or regimented with that as you wanted. I'm really happy with these. Also, I love the yarn. I would definitely recommend. It was my first time using Hue Logo, and I really enjoyed the yarn. These are all an 80-20 blend, like a high twist 2-ply stock yarn, so they have that really nice texture. Again, just a heel flap and gusset vanilla sock. These are also going to Troy. He's got 2 new pairs of socks going into the fall. It is beautiful here today. It's like 75 degrees. It has been all weekend. It feels like the first like taste of fall. In my mind, I'm like, let's go. It's sweater weather. I'm ready. Troy's like, it's still summer. And I'm like, no. So those are all the socks that are finished. Next, I have some spinning to share with you. So Torto Fleece wrapped up, I think July 29th or something, sometime around then. And I'm really pleased with everything that I got finished. So I finished my, I just realized that I have a whip that I forgot to bring in here. I'll go grab that in a minute. I finished my, I think I showed you before, it was like the 1 ply of white targy and then the ply of like the purple and pink kind of variegated like colors from Three Waters Farms. Finished that. I finished the bright pink and orange spin, and then I finished spinning all 12 of my breed samples, and I have the last 3 of those to show you today. And I forget what order I did them in, so I'll just show you. So I have Rommeldale. This is a rare breed. It says soft, nicely crimped, 20 to 25 microns. Here is my sample skein of that. It is really nice. It's very plush. It has pretty good body to it. Next, we did Romney, which I think this was my favorite one out of all of them to spin. Unfortunately, this fleece was very dirty, so that made it a little bit less enjoyable, but I would definitely spin with Romney again. Really enjoyed it. This one says it is semi-lustrous, strong and sturdy fiber, well-defined uniform crimp, 29 to 37 microns, and it's a beautiful color. Has a little bit more drape, but it's just this like super beautiful, soft, like tawny kind of color. It was really lovely to spin with. And the very last one was Shetland. So here's the little Shetland guy. They're kind of funny looking. He is soft, fine wool, lofty, nice crimp, 20 to 35 microns. And it says they have the widest range of colors and patterns. So the one I got was like a really lovely dark brown with some little bits of silver. This one's a bit more drapey. Also really enjoyable to spin. Yeah, so I enjoyed these little breed studies a lot. I feel like it taught me a lot about the different types of fiber. These were all spun from little bats, and the bats were not prepped the best. I really can't recommend like ordering from this company because like I said, some of them were so dirty. I couldn't like really spin the whole thing. There were parts I had to just like pull out a lot of like VM and like grosser stuff. Like I wouldn't really recommend like buying your fiber samples from this company, but I would definitely recommend if you're newer to spinning, getting a bunch of fiber samples just to try out the different breed specific wools. I think I learned a lot from them and really enjoyed that. I also have finished spinning the first skein for my eventual night shift shawl. I am obsessed with it. I think this is my favorite spin to date. Here she is. Look at that. Pink and purple. So this fiber, let me tell you about the fiber. All 6 of the braids I bought for this project are from Fat Cat Knits on Etsy. This one is called Tiny Dancer, and it was a gradient dye. So it went from like neon coral through all the other colors, so it was like into in gradient. And it's on 100% targy. This actually is about 112 grams, so it was a little over 4 ounces to start, and I ended up with 274 yards. So I was going for a 3-ply worsted weight, and when I started plying this, I think in my beginner spinner brain, I was like, oh, a 3-ply, surely that will be worsted weight. And my singles have gotten pretty skinny, and I started plying it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a fingering weight yarn. What have I done? It did plump up quite a bit after washing, but it's definitely not a worsted weight. It's more like a light DK, which I think is okay. My plan is still to do the night shift. I may just have to adjust some needle size or stitch repeat. I'll figure that out as I go. But yes, I am so pleased with how it turned out. You can see the 3 plies. I think it's stunning. I love the colors, the barber pulling, it's so pretty. I'm just really proud of it. Like when I started spinning, I was hoping to be able to make yarns like this, and I am really proud of it and of myself. And I'm sad that I have to spin the 5 other ones because I want to cast it on right away. It's so nice and squishy, plumped up so well in washing. So I skeined it up when I first finished spinning it before I washed it. And at that point I had about 290 some yards. And then I actually did, for the first time after it was dried, I wound it into a ball and then I re-skeined it because I knew that it had plumped up a lot and I wanted to know my actual yardage. So I counted as I was skeining it up on the Nitty Naughty. I have 274 yards. So I did lose, I think I lost about almost 30 yards actually after washing, which is really good to know. And it definitely did plump up, like I said, to more of like a DK weight. So I'm very proud of it. This is my little yarn baby. And I started the next spin as well for this project. So I am sure I will have that one to share with you at some point. Very proud of it. That is it for finished objects. Let me run and grab my whips. Okay, I am currently drowning in whips. I have never had so many whips in my life, and I'm not mad about it, but there is a lot. So I have been casting on like mad since we last talked, and it's all very exciting. So I think I have like 17 or 18 knitting whips right now. Some of you might think that's so many, and some of you might think I have way more than that. So please let me know. I'm curious. How many whips do you have, and how do you feel about, like, if you had 17 whips, would you be like freaking out or would you be so excited? I don't really know how to feel about it. I'm just going with the flow. So first, I actually want to show you a sewing whip, which I almost never have because sewing for me is usually like a do it in one sitting kind of thing. But I started making these shorts yesterday and then realized I didn't have any elastic for the waistband. So I have an almost finished sewing project to share with you. And these are the Willa shorts by Spaghetti Western Sewing. I'm just gonna show half. So I got this really fun vintage cotton fabric at an antique market earlier this year. And the Willa shorts are these super cute little like tulip side. Like here's the side. So they have this little ruffle and then it has the little tulip hem at the bottom. They have a pocket. I can put a picture in of what they look like on too because it's kind of hard to show them without the structure. But yeah, they're just super cute. These are massive without the elastic, but they're also probably a little bit too big. So I'm not really a huge shorts person. I don't like to feel like constricted in shorts at all. So when I was looking at the size chart, according to her size chart, I should have been making a medium, but I was like, I really don't want them to be tight or uncomfortable at all. I'm just gonna size up. So I'm making, or sorry, I should have been making the extra large. What am I saying? So instead I made the 2XL, and I do actually think if I made them again, I would probably make the recommended size, which is fine. I'm making these as like lounge around the house, like pajama kind of shorts, so it's totally fine. But yeah, you can see the little ruffles. They're so cute. So I'm excited to get the elastic in these and start wearing them around the house. I have a little bit of fabric left, but probably not enough to make like a matching top that was just this fabric. So I'm thinking about making like, I don't know, maybe a little matching top that has this fabric as like a pocket or like patchwork or something. I don't know. Really fun fabric, really cute pattern, very enjoyable sew. She has a hack for doing the ruffles that helps you to do the gathering like with your sewing machine so you don't have to gather them by hand. And that made the whole thing very easy. Some really interesting construction techniques. If I didn't already say, this is by Spaghetti Western Sewing, who does really fun patterns, like really fun, unique, beginner. Most of them are beginner friendly. This one I would say is more of like an adventurous beginner, but yeah, super fun. Excited to finish these up once I get some more elastic. And I could definitely see myself making another pair. Honestly, even like a black pair, I think are something I would wear like a lot, like wear them out of the house. So, it's on the floor now. Okay, ready for knitting? Let's do it. I have 2 sock knitting whips. The first one is the Westnet's surprise sock along for this year. So I think he's been now posting pictures of them on his Instagram. So I don't really feel like I'm spoiling anything at this point. The knit along is over. But if you don't want to see the finished sock for this year's surprise sock along, just skip ahead a little bit because I'm going to show it now. They're crazy. So I finished one in time along with the knit along. I have not started the second one yet. Let me take you through these. So the first clue was this section here, the leg, and it was actually knit flat. So you cast on with these waves here, knit around. There's like a chevron section, and then you knit these welts, and then you ended by joining the sides with this stripy I-cord welt. Then in clue 2, we picked up the cuff and knit that 2x2 rib. It has the contrast edge. And we also knit the heel flap and heel turn, which it has this 2-color brioche heel flap, which I am obsessed with. This is such a cool heel. It was fun to knit. It looks awesome and it's very squishy. Then we knit the top of the foot only. So the clue 3 was the top of the foot. So it's these garter ridges with color popped eyelet rows. Then lastly, we picked up the gusset. So you picked up all around here and knit the gusset stitches and the bottom of the foot while you were joining that to the top of the foot that you had already knit. And then very lastly, we knit the toe in the contrasting color. So these are wild. They look crazy, but they were really fun to make. This is probably the most labor-intensive sock I've ever made. It did take me a long time, but they fit really well. They feel very hefty, like especially the leg and the brioche heel. There's just a lot of extra fabric, so they almost feel like more of like a slipper when I'm wearing them. But they're very cozy, very fun. I love the welts. I love the stripy I-cord. I mean, they're so Stephen West. Like his stuff's like so, it's like almost so ugly, it's cool. Like I don't know how to explain. I mean, he just has a very particular aesthetic. Like maybe these aren't ugly, but I hope you know what I mean. Like they're so unusual, but so interesting. And so like the techniques are so fun. So yeah, I finished the first one. I will knit the second one at some point. I have not started it yet. After finishing this, I was definitely just craving some very like simple knitting. So yeah, I finished the first one. I will finish the second one at some point, but I am not in a hurry to do so. The yarns I'm using, this was my main color, and it's just a skein I had in stash. It is from Ken Yarn, which I don't believe they are dyeing anymore. The color was Ugly Stepsister. And then my contrast colors were, this was some Lang Jaw Wool I had in stash. Just this little brown mini skein that I had purchased. And where's the last one? It's disappeared into the bag. But it's like a light pink mini skein that I had. So yeah, I will finish those up. Hopefully, I'd like to finish them before the Westnet's shawl in Cal happens in October. So we'll see if that happens or not, but that's kind of my goal for those. And then my next sock whip is also very exciting. So I am having a summerly year of socks, I think, and I'm just embracing that. So not only am I knitting my way through her book, but she just started up a really fun new club that is the Colorwork Cuff Club. So basically the idea is like you pay the introductory fee, and I think it was for all of August. So I will check that. If that's not right, I'll put it down below. I'll link to it on Ravelry. So it was $12, that's the introductory rate. and that's for the whole year. So you get a new color work pattern for a basic sock for the, so I'm not explaining this well. You get a color work cuff design every month for a year, and the total cost was $12. So every month she's gonna update the pattern in Ravelry or via email, so you get the new design. So for the first month, August, there were 2 designs. The granny stripe, and I can put them on the screen, the granny stripe and this little flower design. So I signed up immediately because I love her and I want to knit more colorwork socks. And the idea of only having colorwork on the cuff and then just knitting a vanilla sock really appeals to me. So I cast on my first pair of these, and I decided to start with the granny stripe design. And because I had kind of like a vision, I had an idea for the next pair of socks I wanted to cast on, and I wanted to use this yarn that I recently got in a D-stash. So it's mostly like icy blues, but it has pops of pink and purple and even like red. And this came with a mini skein, which was this bright blue. And then I went stash diving for my other contrast colors, and I found this red, this same pink that I used in my German short row socks, some darker purple, and the icy blue that I used in my stripy socks. And I put all those together in my color work, and it's fun. So here's the first one. So I was not sure about adding in the red, but I think it looks really good. And I think this just looks so fun with this variegated yarn. So yes, these are the granny stripe socks. It's cuffed down. So I did a 2x2 cuff and then started the color work section. The main sock is knit on 2.25 millimeter needles, but for the color work, I went up to 2.75 as Summer recommends. And I do think I could probably get away with 2.5. I feel like my color work looks like a little bit sloppy. And you know, blocking will help with that, but I do think I probably don't need to go out all the way up to a 2.75. But yeah, I think the colors are so fun together, and it's kind of giving me like icy, like, you know, those like blue raspberry and like red ices that you could get at like Speedway or like the movie theater. That's kind of what it's reminding me of. And they're kind of giving like après ski, like ski bunny. I don't know, something about them feels very, very wintry to me and kind of like sporty, but I think they're super fun, very quick to knit that little cuff, and it's so high impact, and then you just get to knit a vanilla sock. Like, I'm really excited for this club. I think it's such a great idea, and I can't wait to see like what other designs Summer comes out with. I want to knit the other design for August too, the flower ones. I think they're really cute as well. So my new plan is, before I was kind of knitting like 2 patterns from her book every month. At least I have been for a while. So now my plan is like, maybe I'll do one from the book and I'll do the color work cuff club and see how we get on from there. So yeah, those are really fun. I'll probably crank the rest of that one out today. That's it for socks. What's next? Okay, a new cast on and a fun one. So this is my first time knitting like a garment or anything with my handspun. So I knit with my first handspun, I knit an emotional support chicken for my sister. And oh, this is the one I was mentioning earlier, the first one I finished during Torto Fleece. Both fibers are from Three Water Farms. The white is Targhee and the dyed ply is Falkland wool. And I cast on a Traveler Cowl by Andrea Mowry. We are doing a lot of traveling. I cast this on the way to North Carolina because we were driving, and we're doing some traveling this month and also driving to those places. And this is my like perfect road trip project. And it's the Traveler Cowl, so it feels cool to like knit on it while we're traveling and in a lot of different states. And let me show you what I have. Here's what I've got so far. So I love it. this project, it really is perfect for handspun. It's a little bit tricky to show just because it's curling up on itself, but I feel like the texture of this, so it's alternating garter and stockinette, so you get these kind of like garter ridges, and that texture really just does like even out the handspun so beautifully. You can see the like color fading that we're getting. I'm just so pleased with it. So let me see, how does it go? Okay, so this is the back of the neck. So it kind of comes around like this, and it's knit on the bias. So this will be the part that goes around the neck, and you can see the stripes are on the bias. So I'm kind of knitting around, and then once I get to the other edge, I'll start knitting back up, and that's kind of how the shaping works. It's a little bit weird to just see this like amorphous shape. I guess maybe if you look at it like that helps. It's gonna kind of be like that in the front. So yeah, I'm loving it. I didn't find the pattern to be super intuitive and memorizable. It's about a 10-row repeat, but it is pretty easy to read the knitting. So like, I may not remember which row of the repeat I'm on, but I can usually tell like what is the next row supposed to be. And that makes it pretty easy. And within the row, it's usually just mostly knitting or mostly purling. So yeah, really pleased with how it's knitting up. I anticipate, like I said, continuing to work on this for some additional traveling this month. And yeah, I'm loving it. I don't think, having now knit this, I don't think I love the stitch pattern enough to knit any of the larger items in the Traveler series by Andrea. Like she has the shawl and the shell and the sweater. Like I don't think I love it enough to knit any of those. So I'm glad that I tried the cowl first to kind of see how I felt about it before I like jumped into any of those bigger projects. But I am really enjoying knitting on the cowl. So I have 2 skeins of that handspun, and I think that's going to be more than enough. All right, another little shawl. So Sorry Nordland this year is doing a summer shawl knit along. So this is the final pattern, the final month for it. So she's released 2 small shawl patterns. So far we had the Poet shawl, and I can put a picture of mine. And then last month we had the Kutar shawl. I can put a picture of mine here. And the last one is the Beach Day shawl. I will put a picture of hers in so you can see what it's supposed to look like. It's interesting, this one's a different shape. So the other 2 were knit tip to tip, and you were increasing and then decreasing. This one is started with a tab, and it's knit like a true triangle shawl where you're knitting like out as you go. And it's a really nice, simple, like textured pattern, and it's pretty fun to knit. I think when I get some time to really sit down and work on it, it's gonna knit up really quickly. So the yarn I'm using for these, my main color was gifted to me by Jess. Thanks, Jess. This is from Craft Me Not Yarn Co. It's really pretty. I think I've said before, it kind of reminds me of like abalone. Like it has all those like blues and greens and purples. Like it's very pretty and soft. This was a test color though. So they were, it was a trial for their Lurelin. I'm sorry, this is from Legend of Zelda, I think, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Lurelin at Dusk. So the actual color turned out quite different from this, but the trial skein is really beautiful. So that's my main color. And then I'm holding it with a mohair scrap that I have, and I do not remember what this mohair is. I held it in my ranunculus that I made last year, but I cannot remember what it is. But it's this really pretty kind of light grayish purple, so I'm holding those together. And it's making a beautiful fabric. So here is what I have so far. Yeah, it's making a really pretty fabric, and you can see the fun like pearl texture stitches. I think Sari felt they looked like shells, which was why she called it the Beach Day shawl. So yeah, that's gonna be a more classic triangle shape. It's very pretty. I really like the color of this one. I love all 3 of them, but this one is the color that I think is best suited to me. So We'll see if I end up keeping the other two or giving them as gifts. But yeah, just really worked on this a couple times. Like I said, I think once I can sit down and really dedicate some time to it, I think it's gonna go pretty quickly. And it's a fun knit too. A lot of knitting and like the purling that you do have to do really gives you those like impactful stitches. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna touch on this one because I've barely started it, but I did cast it on, so I wanted to show you. So Lydia Morrow recently released the Curious Crop. Here's a picture. It's this very cute fitted tank with a circular cutout in front, and I could not wait to knit this. I want this so bad. I'm gonna knit mine in black. I am just using it's Knit Picks Gloss, which is their merino silk blend. It's fingering weight, and this is all I have. So it's on really small needles. There's really not much to show. You start with a provisional cast on. I think I've knit like 7 rows, but it's 2.75 millimeter needles. So it is gonna be a long one. It has a lot of negative ease, so I'm not knitting as many stitches as I normally am, but this is gonna take a long time to knit. So I really haven't been prioritizing it. It's something that I know I really want in my wardrobe, but it's just gonna be like miles of stockinette in the round at a fingering weight gauge. So I'm not prioritizing it. I'm just kind of, it's there when I need something really simple to work on, or I wanna work with smaller needles to like give my hands a break. But I have not been focusing on it. So not much to show, but eventually this will be a black Curious Crop. That was one of the things I cast on in my like total cast on frenzy that I haven't worked on it all since then. Okay, what's next? Oh, this one is really exciting. Okay, so, sorry, I feel like I'm saying okay, so like a million times. While I was in North Carolina visiting Jess, I'm not gonna talk about this too much because we made a whole separate video, but we spent some time going through her amazing yarn stash. And she very, very kindly gifted me some yarn that wasn't the right color for her or things she just didn't want anymore. And one of the yarns she gifted me, well, 2 of them actually, I have cast on into a sweater. I cast it on while we were there and I've made a lot of progress. So the first one is this really beautiful blue-gray. It's like a very rich bluish gray. This is from Miss Babs, which I was excited to try because I want to check out their booth when I go to Rhinebeck this year. The color is called Vintage Library, and it's on their Sonatina base, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. So that is beautiful. And it has like a really, it doesn't feel like a lot of other 75-25 yarn that I've used. It has a little more tooth to it. Like if I would not have guessed that this was a superwash yarn. And the other, so I have 4 skeins of that. And this one I couldn't believe. She gave me 5 skeins of Explorer Knits and Fibers Surrey from the Ireland collection in this color. The color is Skellig. It's 74% baby Surrey alpaca, 26% silk. And it was crazy because she had ordered the same color on like the superwash sock base or something, and it was a really deep teal. And like, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but the core of this yarn is a darker teal, but the fuzz like didn't take the dye. So they were supposed to be the same color, but this one looked totally different. And I think this just wasn't a good color for her. So when I saw these together, I was like, those want to be a sweater. And while I was there, we spent some time watching the Olympics, like opening ceremonies and hanging out and knitting. And I cast on a Nebula by Andrea Mowry. And since then, I have knit the body, at least the in the round part of the body. So this is a big sweater. Here it is. Look at the beautiful marling of those yarns together. So soft. I'm obsessed. So the Nebula's knit bottom up. It has this cool like rounded hem, so it's higher in the front and longer in the back, and that's done with short rows. So there are a lot of short rows at the beginning of this pattern, but it's a pretty quick gauge and it knits up pretty fast. trying to hold it right. Yeah. So I just started the front, the knitting flat for the front. So I think the front's gonna hit me just below my natural waist, and then the back will come down a bit further. I was kind of between sizes on this one. So the pattern calls for a lot of positive ease. Like the shape of the garment kind of goes like this, like it tapers in a bit at the bottom. And I, based on my bust measurement, was going to make size 5, but that was gonna taper in a little bit more than I wanted. I wanted more room around my hips. So I ended up kind of doing like a 5.5 at the bottom and then a 5. So really what that means is that mine has just a little bit more straight in the body. It doesn't really have that taper. I did fewer increases to get to the size 5 number. So the bottom of mine is like a 5.5, and then the bust and the top and the sleeves and everything is gonna be size 5. So yeah, I have slowed down a little bit since I got to the flat knitting part. Now I just need to knit the front and the back and then on to the sleeves. So this yarn combo is just like pure joy. It's so, so good. I think it looks beautiful together. That slight marl, it feels so nice. It's just been delightful. I got these little brown sheep stitch stoppers at one of the yarn stores down there as well. So yeah, I really just can't say enough about this yarn combo, and this project has been very enjoyable so far. I am shortening the body by 1 inch, which makes me a little nervous because last time I did that on one of Andrea's patterns, the tessellated, it ended up way too short, and I had to then later go back in and add length. So, but I feel confident with this one. The body is 9 inches already, and that's longer than I would normally knit. So I think it's gonna be plenty long enough, but not quite as long as it is in her photos. At least that is my hope. Okay, next, 2 more knitting whips. These are the Rhinebeck sweaters. So yes, sweaters. I am going to Rhinebeck this year on Sunday. Troy is coming with me. I'm also gonna have my sister and a friend with me. And I decided that I was gonna knit Rhinebeck sweaters for me and Troy because he's being such a good sport about coming along. So I wanted to make him a sweater as well. So I'm gonna show you mine first. I decided to jump on the bandwagon and knit the Framed by Andrea Mowry. I love quilting, I love knitting. It's a perfect fusion. The sweater is beautiful. So this is the Framed by Andrea Mowry. This is her Rhinebeck sweater for this year. I'm a little bummed I'm not gonna be able to join in on the picture on Saturday when everyone gets together that has made these, but it's my first time going to Rhinebeck, and I'm happy to only be going on Sunday because I don't want to be like overwhelmed by it. So I'm still gonna wear it, hopefully, and we'll see. So let me talk to you about my yarn choice for a second. So as soon as this came out, I looked in my stash and I was like, oh, do I have anything I could use as the main color? And I knew right away that I had some Cascade 220 that I wanted to use. So I had this really dark charcoal heather sweater quantity of Cascade 220. So that is my main color. It is slightly lighter actually in a yards to grams ratio than the recommended yarn, so but just slightly, so I think that should be great. And then I purchased Spin Cycle Dream State as to use as my contrast color, and the color I chose is called Syringa. I think it's a flower, Syringa, I'm not sure. And you know, you always run a risk when you order Spin Cycle online that it's not going to be quite the color that you hoped, because they're all one of a kind and they're all over the gamut. So I tried to give really specific instruction in the notes of my purchase, like these are the colors I'm looking for if possible, and you know, I know they do their best, but the skeins that I got were not quite what I was hoping for. So here's one of the skeins that I got, and it is beautiful. It's this purple, and it has hits of blue and gray and black and brown, and it's really nice. But I was kind of hoping for ones more on the lighter, brighter side that had more bright and light purples and browns and greens. And all 4 skeins that I got were fairly dark. So I did start knitting this. I cast on the ribbing, knit the ribbing. I started knitting it with these two together, and I just felt like there wasn't enough contrast with this as the contrast color, and you weren't really gonna see the motif very clearly. So I knit basically the first motif, and I wasn't like blown away. I wasn't super happy with it. So I was talking to Jess about it, and she kind of like had the idea to knit it with like a solid contrast color, because I was already planning to just do 2 colors. The original version has 3 colors. It has 2 different colors in the body and then a 3rd color for the like frame. So I decided when I got home to see what else I had in stash, and I had this Barocco Lannis like creamy white. So I decided to just knit it basically in black and white, because I really want the motifs to pop, and I wanted, you know, it's kind of a loud sweater. Like I thought if I knit it in these neutral colors, maybe I would get a lot more wear out of it. So I started over the motif with this new yarn, and here's where I'm at. So I do feel very happy that I made that switch. I think you get so much credit for the motifs now, and I think it looks very, very nice. So here it is. I think the heather gray, it's not like a really stark black and white, like it's this heather charcoal and then this kind of creamy color. So I think it looks really nice. It's pretty quick to knit actually. Like, you know, last year Andrew did the tessellated, and that took a long time. That took me like 4 or 5 months to knit. This one is gonna be much quicker. So there's only 4 repeats of the motif in the body. And then I think there's like a couple that are knit flat in the front and back, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, I mean, really gonna kind of zoom through the body on this one, I think. I am really happy with it. Like, I'm happy that I made this switch. It's not like the most exciting. Like, I do think the spin cycle ones are beautiful with all the color changes, but I think this is something I would get a lot more wear out of. And you really get credit for the quilt motif. So that's the update I have there. I'm making size 5, I believe. Troy's Rhinebeck sweater, I've made more progress on. So I am making him, and I can't remember if this was a new cast on since last time. It may be. I am making him the Old Fashioned Cardigan by Maxim Sear. Here is a picture of it, excuse me. As soon as this came out, I was like, I have to make that for Troy. He loves an old fashioned. That's his favorite cocktail. And I thought the yarn from Le Garçon was so beautiful, and I really wanted to try it. So I let him pick out the color he wanted and ordered the yarn. So we're doing it in, the color is called Vincent's Highland Coup. It's a really pretty reddish brown. Kind of matches my dress. And I've knit quite a bit. I'm almost done with the yoke actually. So let me show you how to show this. Here we go. This is such a fun knit. It's very relaxing. Sorry, it's kind of hard to show a unfinished cardigan. So it has this really nice double folded chunky 2x2 rib collar that also has short row shaping. So you can see it's higher in the back, really nice detail. Then you start the stitch pattern, which is great knit flat because on the right side you knit and on the back side it's a 1x1 rib basically. So you're only purling a quarter of the stitches, but you get this nice texture. There's a nice rib detail on the raglan. And yeah, like I said, I think I only have 3 more rows left in the yoke, and then we're splitting for sleeves. I'll definitely try it on him before I do that, just to make sure it's long enough, and add a couple more rows if needed. But I think the color is beautiful. The yarn is so nice to work with. Here's their ball band, very pretty. It is the British Aran, so it's 70% BFL, 30% Masham. It's non-superwash. Really nice to work with. It has such nice texture, but it's still very soft. It's very squishy. Yeah, I'm just really happy with it. Here's the back. The texture is so nice. I think it's gonna be really nice to wear too. So yeah, it's knitting up very quickly considering it's Aran weight, and it's been a very enjoyable knit. Now I know once I get to the body and I have to knit like 20 inches of body, that's gonna take me longer, but it's okay. Troy also has very long arms, so those sleeves take a while, but so yeah, those are the Rhinebeck sweaters. That's it for knitting whips, at least ones that I'm talking about today. Should I do a whip inventory? Would people be interested in that? Like a whip parade where I show you all of them and maybe we like make some decisions? Let me know. Let me know if you want to do that. That could be worth doing. I'm pretty good about going through them and like frogging or, you know, getting rid of ones I'm not gonna continue. But yeah, let me know if you want to see them all. We could do a special video. And the last thing I was just going to touch on in whips is my quilt. I am currently halfway through. I decided to do the last 20 blocks all in like assembly line style. So I'm about halfway through those. I just have to finish sewing them all together. I can put in a picture. I'm like ready to sew them all together, and then all the blocks will be done. So I'd like to finish sewing all the blocks by the end of the month. And then maybe in September, I'll try and get everything like assembled and get the quilt finished. That's the goal. I'd like to finish it by the end of summer, like September 21st or whatever it is. Okay, that's it for whips. That was a lot. A lot of whips. Acquisitions I need to grab. Okay, so I've had a lot of acquisitions since the last time we talked. I'm not gonna share them all today. As I said, Jess gave me a lot of yarn, which was so generous of her. She gave me a lot of fabric, which was also so generous of her. Like, and all that stuff is beautiful. It's too much to sit down and show you everything, but I will always try and like say, you know, Jess gave me this, like if I'm working with it. We also visited 2 different yarn stores while we were down there, and I bought a lot of yarn. So if you're interested in seeing that, because there's some beautiful stuff and we talk a little bit about the stores, definitely check out the last episode, the special episode that Jess and I recorded together, because we show you what we bought and like talk about all of that. Yeah, there was a lot. So I'm trying to not buy much yarn until Rhinebeck, which is gonna be tough because the wool gathering is happening here in September, which is a little yarn festival in Yellow Springs. I think I'm just gonna have to not go, which makes me sad, but I really wanna hold out till Rhinebeck to buy much more yarn. So I'm on the fence about that. One other acquisition was a gift that I wanted to share with you. So I host a knit night locally at Gamut Beer Garden in Columbus every other Tuesday, first and third Tuesday of the month. And one of the knit night regulars, you know, it's like a craft night, you can work on whatever, but one of the other knitters is my friend Nicole, who's been coming from the very beginning. She's awesome. She's like such an amazing knitter and crafter. And she made me a bag, and I want to show it to you because it's really special. So she's been doing all of this amazing patchwork and then like using the patchwork on bags. And she made me this totally upcycled bag. The camo is from a pair of Carhartt pants that her partner was no longer using. So there's like the cargo pocket, it has like a carabiner, the pockets are all functional. And then there's a pocket here as well. She made this really fun patchwork pocket. So this is a pocket, this is a pocket. It's awesome. It has the Carhartt logo. And then she did all of this pink like hand stitching over the top. So pretty. It's got these really cute webbing straps. And then it has a drawstring closure. And this really fun lining fabric. It's a really large bag. It has all these other pockets on the inside as well. I've actually got yarn in here right now for a future project. But yeah, it's such an awesome, like huge bag, and I can't believe she made that for me. It was so kind of her. So thank you, Nicole. I really love my bag. I took it to North Carolina with all my projects in it. And I was wanting for like a bigger project bag. I love the drawstring top, and this one is so cute and so functional. It really reminds me of Chapel Roan's like Midwest Princess theme that's like camo and pink, so very on trend for the Chapel Roan summer. Love my bag. Thank you again. And then yeah, I think everything else would be in that other special episode if you're interested in seeing it. One other thing I was going to show you was my July bingo. So I've been doing these like summer crafty bingo cards, and I did get bingo for July, so we got one right here across the top. And what was in my bingo were crop my outline tee, which I did just by throwing it in the washer and dryer and letting it shrink up a bit, so that was easy. Knit socks, finish 10 of my quilt blocks, ply the Falkland and Targhee, which you saw I'm already knitting with, and sew a garment. Some of the other things I crossed off were spin the pink and orange yarn. There were a lot of spinning ones in July. Knit a Tulsa tank, which I did, but it was a total failure. And if you want to hear more about that, you can watch this video or this video. I don't know what side the thing's on. Publish a podcast, cast on with handspun yarn, knit the Kutar shawl. So yeah, this has been really fun. I've already started my one for August. I tried to make August a little easier because I really want to cross off like every single square. Maybe that's unrealistic, but we'll see. I've already crossed off 6 squares for August and it's only the 11th, so we'll see. But that is it for crafting. It's a lot. You know, summer is a good time for crafting. I'm always like, I'm getting really back into knitting now. I'm ready to pick up those like bigger projects, those woolier projects, but I'm still loving sewing. I'm still loving spinning. Like, it's nice to have that extra light, especially in the evening for some of those like more, like my desk is in front of a window, so I'm more likely to spin or sew in the evening if there's light versus knitting, which I can like take anywhere. So yeah, I've just been doing all the things. Having a fun summer. We've been traveling. We've got some more travel. Next weekend, we're going to Michigan. Just Troy and I for a little getaway. We're going to check out Bell's Brewery, which is a beer, like they make beer that we really enjoy. So we just kind of decided to go. There's also a big car museum there, I believe, the Gilmore Car Museum. So we're going to kind of go check that out. The weekend after that, we're going to Pennsylvania to go to our friend's lake house. We're going to be meeting up with our friends. A couple of friends from New York City are also coming. We're kind of meeting in the middle, so that's going to be very fun and exciting. And then after that, it's just getting ready for the big Rhinebeck trip in October. This weekend, Flock is happening in Seattle, and I do have some major FOMO. I texted Jess and was like, I think we have to go next year because it looks so great. Like, all the Instagram people are there, all the vendors you would want to see. Like, it just looks like a very fun place to go and meet other knitters and like see some beautiful yarn. So maybe next year, we'll see. If I'm doing Rhinebeck this year, maybe we'll do Flock next year, who knows. But that's pretty much it for me. Lots of crafting, some traveling, just enjoying summer, feeling the first chill of fall in the air. Not really, but I'm telling myself that's what it is. So I hope you're having a great summer as well, getting lots of crafty time. Let me know about the WIPs, how many you have, and if you would want to see like a WIP special video, let me know. Until next time, get lots of crafting time in, and I'll see you in about 2 weeks. Bye.